fun with 35 people.
Is the what drone? No, I don't want to be able to fly in. Don't fly in here. Okay.
Can you control it? You know how to control it?
Just hold it up and talk about it.
Can you control it?
She can bring it over a little bit. So we can see your skin. About right here. Yeah. Okay. Just tuck it up.
As long as you ain't trying to prepare no missiles.
I just do walking out the house, walking the hood. You're right. I went one time, and I'd not been
How long you think it'll be?
3 months. I'm trying to get back up there. Now we're trying to everything off our energy is on this house. 63-mile house. It's 63
Won a
miles.
while today, had to make a meeting and then had a meeting with the mayor of Rancher.
We got some.
Came down here and filed some stuff.
Grayson came by the other day. He's doing me an appraisal on it. So I usually sell them myself, but I get
You're still on the
appraisal for the hand. That way they can say, well, that's kind of high. Here's what the price is.
I would say that.
Every time I do that, we argue. You're right. What time you going? You going?
You know what? No, but some people don't forget. They got a long memory, and then I don't think you've ever been. I'm just saying, we'll take advantage of that.
Definitely don't want to hot water, but
Yes.
Text me. Okay. Mike, head to the gym. See you there. Appreciate you.
if I do it, don't get back.
Jim.
Yeah, you got me leg tag. We got. What's up? Hey John, how you doing?
Oh, thank you. No, I was. They thought it was actually quite heavy. So
Well, they trying to put a desk together.
A bunch of mail.
Transpired that way or what?
Your hair is cut.
Hey, how you doing?
From the back, your hair is cut. It looks like Eric. I could just see you over the top of your chair.
Y'all both are beautiful. That's why he confused you. They're both beautiful. That's why.
They are. Well, no.
Dr. Wilson, you can't say that.
Donna had her hair cut. Eric had her hair cut.
That's right.
So Stephen, we got some strawberry fruits in
Both
there,
are the
man.
biggest women in this day and era.
Distinguished professional women.
Is this the right one?
Yep.
I don't even have my glasses on. I just thought she looked like somebody that would be giving a presentation. I couldn't find my glasses. It is.
Okay.
Hey Lewis, how you doing?
I'm doing real good. Good to see you guys.
You too.
Linda, I see.
How you doing, LB? I did, LB. I said, I said, what's going on, man? When you walked up, you sound pretty good.
I hear you.
Good to see you.
Dad has been sick.
Did I get an answer?
What you did
This would just change the legislature, and so that they have to retire if they have 90 days. Right, so you have to protect you, so that
Give him presents.
Right, but he has to do that.
How's the flying? Going good. You doing good? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. We will call our work session agenda to order. At this time, we will ask you to silence your cell phones, and we'll have our roll call.
Okay. Dominic, Lyndon Johnson, Jackson, Lynn,
Present.
Bowman, Hawthorne,
Present.
Gates Watts,
Present.
Middleton, Atkins,
Here.
Chavez,
Here, sir.
Smith, Lewis Johnson.
President.
We have a quorum now.
Thank you, sir. I will do the invocation, and we'll have the pledge by Commissioner Middleton. If you would, please stand. Let us pray. Dear God, how we come before you as humble as we know how, Lord, thanking you for this day that you have graced us with. Lord, we ask you right now, Father God, if there's anything that is not like you, to take it out, oh God. Lord, thank you for forgiving us of our sins, God, and keeping us, Father God, in the way that you have designed us to be. Lord, I ask you right now, God, for your comforting hand over the families, Father God, of all of the victims of gun violence, God. Lord, especially for the 2-year-old baby who lost his life, God, to senseless gun violence. God, I know that you're still in control, God, and you're well able, God, and that there's nothing too hard for you. Lord, I just ask that you would continue to move up on our hearts, God, and help us to make good, sound decisions, God, to help improve the lives of all individuals, God. Lord, it is in the name of Jesus that we invite you into this meeting, God, and let it be pleasing and acceptable in your sight. In Jesus Christ's holy name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Everyone, please face the American flag, render the proper salute, and recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Middleton. Mr. Clerk, I have no agenda additions. Do you have any?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay, next item.
Next we move to citizen comments.
Okay, our citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward to the president or the clerk of the commission. Comments by any citizen will be limited to 3 minutes. I have a few cards here. I have Jamor Myers Montgomery. Welcome, Mr. Montgomery.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You
Hello,
have
everyone.
3 minutes.
I just wanted to give some comments about the law school that is being proposed for being here, the extension of Southern University Law Center. As a Southern University Law Center graduate, I just wanted to, and a public defender here for the juveniles, I wanted to express the need for strong clinical programs here. The Public Defender's Office is in desperate need of more people to help out, and we could give law students an opportunity to get real-world experience by allowing them to come and intern with the Public Defender's Office and allowing them to practice as student attorneys. So for those who need clinical experience, because as some of us may know, law school does not necessarily prepare you for the practice of law. And being that there is a major need for juveniles and children to be defended, and also as well as their families, I think it would be very important that the commission keep that in perspective about making sure that there's a strong clinical program and strong ties with the Public Defender's Office so that they can have strong programs and also bring out great attorneys. Because it does no good to educate people if they don't have any real experience, if they don't have opportunities where they can utilize their experience and utilize their education. And the Juvenile Public Defender's Office has been an excellent opportunity for me. So that's just what I wanted to bring to light and for the commission to be aware of. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, my next card is Northwest Louisiana CDC. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you guys for having us here.
Thank you so much for coming.
On behalf of Bishop Brandon, which is our president of the North Louisiana CDC, and Co-Pastor Brandon, which is our project manager, I'm just going to let the children go ahead and speak concerning what they've learned in the technology camp.
Thank you.
So for my class that I teach this summer technology program 2019, I teach the 5-year-olds, the 8-year-olds coding from scratch through music and sound production. Most of them couldn't read because they were so young, so we did it by, they know their colors. So we learned through their colors and what they basically know. And so CS Google first supported the group. They sent packaging so they could have tools to help them go through what they needed to. And so CS Google first took them through everything they needed to go through, and videos to provide education for them so they know what they're doing.
All right.
And now they're going to show you how their robots work while Tia goes ahead and flies the drone as well. And she's going to do a demonstration. That's good. Go ahead and do the robot. Right here. Right here.
Now, I teach drones ages 9 to 13. We teach them how to code the drone where it flies on their own. And you can tell it to go up and down just using your phone or mobile device. So I can see all of you if I turn right. And go forward and backwards.
And that's what we learned at summer camp, and she learned fashion design. She's only 12 years old, and she has designed a couple of pieces, and she's going to give her name.
I am Hannah Frenay, and I'm 12 years old, as she said. I was in the fashion designing class, and I wasn't teaching anybody yet, but I was in there just to express my art, and so I showed my art to them and told them what I liked art about. And I like art to express my feelings and also to show different things through colors and pictures and shapes. And so art isn't something that you can just learn automatically, but I'm still learning it, but as I go through life, I will use art to express mostly what I like.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming down.
Madam President.
Yes.
May I suspend the rules to at least just give them some quick feedback real quick?
That's what I was just about to do as I was
know we
leaning
typically
forward. So as Commissioner Jackson has just stated, I was just about to suspend the rules. Are there any objections to allowing us to have some back and forth dialogue with these wonderful kids who have come down to share what they've learned today?
None here, President.
Okay, thank you. I invited this group down. I had the privilege and the honor to be with them on Friday at their last day of camp. And I was so amazed of how much they have actually learned as well as shared with their peers during this very short tenure. And I thought that all of the commissioners would enjoy seeing what our investment is doing for Northwest Louisiana CDC and this technology camp. So I see that we already have Commissioner Jackson on the board. If any other commissioners would like to make some comments to you or about what they've seen today or what they know about you, please do so at this time. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to suspend the rules. I just wanted to say thank you all for coming down. Thank you, Commissioner Gage Watts, for inviting them down. I know a lot of times, and y'all don't always get to see that, but we have conversations about what priorities that we're spending our NGO funding on, and so to be able to see what those revenues and our decisions that we're making. I often say we're not in the business of choosing winners and losers. Our goal is to simply give everybody a level playing field to play on. And I've said this since Clay has spouted it out. We spent about $300 to incarcerate a kid in our juvenile detention center. However, the investment that we've made in the Northwest Louisiana CDC, I see some future engineers here. I see some future IT techs here. If you're saying that, I think I heard somebody say that they weren't able to read, but they're able to code already.
Right.
And
Using
coding is the way of the future. And if we're going to invest in our young children at an early age, this is the type of work that they need to be doing. So I appreciate everything you're doing. I did not get a chance to get by. I think I may have talked to somebody on the phone. I don't know who it was. But I just appreciate all that you're doing and continue to keep up the great work even after the summer program is over. Dr. Wilson, I think AT&T is also looking to invest into some STEM technology, so if we can connect them with Mr. Vinay. I think the window just closed. We missed that window, but the opportunity is out there to invest and expand the program with regard to STEM technology. So thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. I don't want to say that most of the presentations that come before us are boring, but you guys was amazing. It was really fun to watch this, and Commissioner Jackson said a lot of it, but a lot of people are counting on Shreveport to be successful, and they're looking at the industrial age of us getting plants back up and going, and I think those days have come and gone, and really what's going to make this city, it's going to be sending products out, not over the interstate, but on the internet, and using the intellectual property that you guys are creating right now in your mind and putting into code and building the formats that are going to compete on a global market. When we go down to Walmart and we buy things from Walmart, we're competing on a global market whether we like it or not. So here in Caddo Parish, what you guys are building and producing and pushing out of here, we're going to have kids in other countries utilizing the projects that you guys are building today. So the success of Shreveport is clearly on your shoulders. I don't want to put a big burden on you now, but just keep on learning and don't give up. And it's your imagination that's going to truly succeed. A lot of people, you can go to school, you can get a diploma, but it's your imagination. The imagination is what's going to take your success. You look at things like Uber, at Waiter. It was just somebody that learned some code, but put their intellectual property of their imagination against the IP that they learned at a tech school, and now they're billionaires. And you guys have the road to success to do that right here in Caddo Parish. So much success to you guys, and thank you for coming down here.
Thank you, Vice President Chavez. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I would ask each one of the students to come give their name and what school that they attend. That's not too much.
My name is Samora Kennan. I'm 13 years old. I attend Keatville Elementary and Middle School.
My name is Hannah Frenay, and I'm 12 years old, and I attend Erie Drive Middle School AP Magnet.
My name is Latia Williams. I'm 13 years old, and I attend Erie Drive Middle School.
My name is Nate Frenay, and I attend Erie Drive Middle School as well.
Somebody pick her up. Yeah, you can come into the microphone.
That's Nana.
I'm Nazaya, and I go to Judson Magnet.
I'm Noah Hines, and I go to Keithville Middle Magnet School.
My name is Sydney Brookins, and I go to Magnolia School of Excellence.
My name is Christian Brookins, and I go to Northwood.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
I wanted to see exactly where the students are coming from. So based on what I heard, we got pretty much the parish covered from the north to the south.
Absolutely.
And also to the east. So, I mean, when we look at how we disperse our NGO funds, this is a prime example. It's located in one location, but it's impacting so many kids from different locations. And I mean, and as each one of those students go back to their school and they tell what they did for the summer, that entices more kids to get involved. And so it's a learning branch. And I think that more programs like this is what we need, so that kids' minds will be stimulated for the fall. And in the fall, you know, that puts a challenge on the teachers to keep them stimulated from the fall until the next summer. And, you know, it used to be that in the summertime, kids learning go down, but this is evidence that learning goes up in the summertime. So I appreciate the program that y'all put together, and I also appreciate the commissioners for awarding that organization the funds for that. Thank you.
Commissioner Lynn Carthorne.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be very brief. I just want to echo the same sentiments that the other fellow commissioners have offered, but I also want to say that it is most inspiring to see the next wave of what's going to be the future of technology in America, Shreveport, the United States, that these young people are getting a glimpse of it right now. And I will admonish each one of you guys, mark my words, hone your skills, create your craft, and whatever project you want, open yourself a bank account right now and start saving you some money, because someone's going to need to capitalize that project. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. And I'll just close out by saying I concur with most of the sentiments of what you heard from these commissioners up here. We're grateful to be able to invest into this organization. You all are always doing great things, and I'm very proud. Northwest Louisiana CDC does sit in District 7, but as Commissioner Johnson pointed out, we have young people from everywhere that are coming there, getting an advance in life. You know, we were in Detroit in May, and there were over 27,000 jobs available for technology. However, they did not have enough qualified individuals to fulfill them. So you are stepping into an era that can make waves for you, with you having such an advancement at a very young age. Your minds are still spongeable. You are able to use this information and to grow to great heights. So I encourage you all to keep pressing, using your gifts and progress into this era that you're living in. Congratulations to all of you for completing the course, and thank you so much for coming down today. I see some parents out here who made the sacrifice to get them here, as well as so many of the coordinators. Thank you so much for coming down and sharing this with Caddo Parish. Thank you. The chair moves to go back into regular session. Okay. Any objections? That passes by acclamation. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to visitors. Have Crystal Bell and Jacoby White, Loving Little Ones Incorporated, to present information regarding pop-up shelters.
Good evening or afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Madam President, Vice President, Commissioners of our great parish of Caddo.
Welcome.
We come before you today to talk a little bit about the pop-up shelter event that we have going on here in Shreveport. It's going to be Saturday, July the 27th at the State Fairgrounds. Just to tell you a little bit about Loving Little Ones, we incorporated in 2017 after many years of just doing some grassroots efforts that we had going on in our communities. We had a few programs that we put on that we paid for personally for children. We put on some educational projects. We also have some recreational efforts that we also do with children. With adults, we have educational resources for them as well, job finding techniques, resume techniques that they can learn that we also offer them, also getting them into GED programs. We also deal with homeless outreach. Beginning in 2014, we had our very first public serving that members of the community could come out, get something to eat, and go out. Prior to that, we did a mobile service. Quarterly, we serve about 200 plates to homeless individuals. We pack up meals, we put them in our cars, and we'll drive around the community and hand it out to them. That gave us a passion for the homeless. Just to do a little bit of background on them, we are part of the homeless, the Hope Connection here in Shreveport. Monthly, we meet with them at the end of the month, talk about some of the homeless needs in our area. Currently, since 2014, homelessness overall is down. But since then, as of 2018, we're seeing a rise in unsheltered homelessness as well as chronic homelessness and unsheltered veterans. What the data does not show are the shelter homeless individuals, those who are living with family members or in dwellings that are not really fit for families to live in. It may not have electricity, it may not have water. So that gave us the desire to kind of help our community. We're putting on the pop-up shelter, and I have some brochures that I wanted to pass out to you. It's a one-day resource fair that we are getting people in the community, different agencies to come together to provide resources for homeless individuals and those individuals in need in our area. We will give them personal hygiene resources. They'll be able to take showers at the state fairgrounds. They will be able to get grooming services. They will get clothes. They will get medical services. They will also get mental health services as well. That's going to be going on Saturday, July the 27th, here in Shreveport at the state fairgrounds, and we would really love your help and your support.
Okay. There are different aspects of things that we do need. We need volunteers to come out and assist. We're expecting different people from medical fields to do blood pressure checks. We have some different restaurants who volunteered to come out and help us serve breakfast, lunch, and we're doing like a food pantry where they take food along with them. The fairgrounds, as we stated, they've redone all the showers for us, so everybody will get a shower. We've been accepting clothes donations. We're doing where they take stuff home with them. We're hoping to hear back this week from different laundromats to get coupons in order for them to be able to clean their clothes that they bring, or that we can give them vouchers where they can go into the laundromats and clean, but we're also hoping that they leave with the clothes that they need. We have different variations of sizes from children to adult men. So we're accepting donations. We have the pantry going on, waiting to hear back from the Northwest Louisiana Food Bank as well, with giving us some donations in order to provide for them. Victor is our community liaison. He is not on to speak, but he does a lot of speaking for us. So I don't know if you guys have questions. The pamphlets, they have tons of different things that we are looking to get in care packages that we're hoping that they leave with. We also offer a summer camp. Our summer camp is 8 weeks long, and our kids at the camp are making boxes for the people that we serve that day that will fill with different things for them to take home with them.
So if there's any support or resources that y'all can help us with, we would love to have you there. Maybe you want to come out and volunteer and see some of those faces, but we would love to have you come out. And she mentioned our summer camp. You guys did give us funding for this year, and we do want to say thank you for that. It's a educational and recreational camp. They do different educational things in the beginning of the day, and after lunch we play and have a lot of fun. So we really do thank you for that, and it's helping to make an impact in the community.
Okay, we have a few commissioners on board. Commissioner Lynn Carthorne.
All right, thank you, Madam President, and I want to welcome loving little ones down here today.
Thank you.
They reside in District 6, just for the record. But what I want to have you guys to further explain, when I first heard the concept, it was like a pop-up shelter. And so what you guys are essentially doing on a day-to-day basis is preparing the essentials that persons will need in the event they became homeless. And so if someone directs you guys to this particular person, you provide a place for them to stay, or you find out where they're staying and you provide the essentials to them. Just so that I have a working concept of it in my mind.
Yes, sir. The purpose of the pop-up shelter is to provide temporary or short-term relief, and then to, and by way of giving them meals right then, giving them care packages that they can take to take showers. And then we have home agencies that we have there to kind of get them in a place if they're not sheltered, to try to get them somewhere sheltered, but also we have educational resources, the TRIO program. We want to get them things to advance them for the long term, so they're just not homeless right now, but they can actually advance themselves to get out of that homeless state. Not to just give them clothes and something to eat for today, but to give them resources to get them out of that situation.
The old adage, don't give them a fish for the day, but teach them how to fish.
Yes.
Gotcha. And so you guys essentially are conduit And you working with the Hope Connections?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming down.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for having us.
Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. Guys, thanks for what you're doing. And I wanted to see you mentioned the volunteering. You have the time on here, but do you guys have like an online resource where if a citizen wanted to volunteer, or even myself, if I wanted to go in there and pick an hour block or a couple hour blocks that I'm available on that day, do you have that online?
Yes, sir. LovingLittleOnes.org. You can go on and click volunteer. You can go on and pick a committee, and you can pick, put your time as well that you want to come out and serve.
Thank you. And then, Dr. Wilson, can you get Crystal to get with them so we can push out some information on our parish website? I know there's a lot of citizens that always want to help, and they always say, how can I get involved? This is a perfect example of where they can get plugged in, and there's many avenues where they need to get plugged in at that I think that they can help with. So, guys, before you get off there, get Dr. Wilson to get with Crystal. Thank you, guys. Thank you, President.
Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you all for coming down today, and I appreciate this concept. It's interesting that Victor is not talking today because he was the one that introduced me to it. He's obviously very passionate about it and very informed about it, and the concept meaning that those people who are in need of a shelter, who would normally go to the shelter, when you pop it up, that means those same things that's provided there, you all will provide that. So I think that's pretty ingenious in that respect. But my question is, how do you provide the audience or that target group, those people who need those services? How do you, since you're going to be on the fairgrounds on the 27th, how does that population or that targeted group of people get there in order to benefit from the services that you will provide?
Well, we have two parts of that. We're in talks with Sport Tran to provide some type of transportation. If they can get to the hub, to get them to the fairgrounds. They already have a bus that goes directly to the fairgrounds. We're also partnering with local churches in specific areas to where if a homeless person doesn't have transportation, they can get to that church. That church will bring them to the fairground and do like a little shuttle going back and forth. What we're going to do is give out different items leading up to the pop-up shelter. We'll start off giving out water, we'll give out some meals, but we'll also give them the pop-up shelter information, we'll give them the cars and the location to where they can be picked up.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Was that addressing your question, Commissioner Johnson? Because I thought that you were asking how the homeless population would know. Is that what you were saying?
That is what I was, not both, how will they know?
Right.
And how will, you're going to be on the fairgrounds, obviously providing great service. How will they know to be there is what I'm asking.
So I think that he's asking like, are you like going down, like coming downtown, making sure that the people that you see sleeping on benches, that you're giving them this information to make sure that they're coming?
Yes, sir. We're really hands-on. We get a group of volunteers. It's never one person in a vehicle. We always have 2 or 3 people. We're giving out food, and we're actually going and meeting people. We know where some of the hot spots are. We come downtown. There's a location on Pines Road behind the Walmart. We go to those kind of locations in our neighborhoods when we see those kind of people, and we give them the information in their hands. We're also partnering right now with Cumulus to do some broadcasting things. We're doing some social media things. We know that they do have cell phones and they kind of do some things like that. But we are really hands-on and trying to invite those people to come out.
I follow you. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. You did say that you also help displaced individuals?
Yes.
All right, so since Thursday, I've been trying to help this lady and her children. She was basically displaced after the storm Wednesday when a big tree fell on her home. She was renting the property and the house is now destroyed. And so she has nowhere to stay, the kids have nowhere to stay. And told her to call 211, and some of the agencies she talked to basically have just wanted to provide her with some rice and beans. But you can't do anything with rice and beans if you have nowhere to cook it in.
Nowhere to cook it.
So if I can get with you guys and give her her number so you can give her a call and see how you can help, or other agencies that might be able to help her, I would definitely appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
And like there are so many times, when people usually they do pop-up stores. to let you know that there's a store coming. We hope that eventually there's an actual shelter that's there on every day to provide these very same resources. That's our ultimate goal, is to be able to offer a shelter that provides these on a daily basis.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
If there are no other commissioners, we have
Commissioner
some-
Stephen Jackson.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Deacon. Bishop, I'm sorry. I think this is a great concept. I know you've been talking about it for some months, and when you first thought of that concept, you were just toying with it. So to see this actually come to reality is great. I would encourage, I don't know if we have the capacity, but I know sometimes during Christmas, I don't know if it's too late, but we usually will place a bin in the front lobby and ask for donations and that type of stuff, because people are just in and out of this building. I don't know, Dr. Wilson, if you want to present this maybe to the employee council, they may want to collect items and stuff like that, and the commission as well. We can probably take up some items and collect some items as well, and drop some items as well. So I think it's a great concept, and glad to see y'all working with the continuum of care. I know you want to kind of grow this as well, so hopefully after this is over, y'all will come back to us, and it could just be a very short report on, the ups and downs of it. How do we grow? How do we expand? Because homelessness is an issue for an area. Like Commissioner Johnson, this weekend I had a situation where I had to trying to get somebody placed, and it can be a struggle for those persons that are looking for immediate stabilization. So that can be a struggle. And Dr. Wilson, I also think that this may be another opportunity as well for our summer workers to get some volunteer hours in as well, if y'all need those hands-on. I know our church youth department will be participating. So any volunteers that I can send your way, I'll definitely send your way. I thought that there was an issue with the website, but we just figured out you have to scroll down a little bit to get to it. But y'all, I can't tell you, but you may want to put that at the top, the click button.
Okay.
It almost was like we couldn't click on it here, but thank you again, and we appreciate what you're doing, and good to see again that Caddo Parish investment paying off. So thank y'all. Victor, you don't want to sing if you're not going to speak. Appreciate it.
I'd just like to thank you all for the invitation to have us here. We've been working very hard on this project, and it means a lot to us that you all had a listening ear, and we look forward to your support in this effort.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Thank you all for coming down to share this information, but most of all, thank you for what you're doing to provide this resource for our very needed community. We will do our best to help you also as commissioners with this donations list. I got a text message from Mr. Victor last Thursday about attending your organizational meeting. However, I was at a prayer vigil. Otherwise, I would have been right there with you. This is something that I too am very passionate about. So I'm so glad to see citizens such as yourselves going out to be that difference that we want to see happen in our community. So thank you. Right. Thank you all for
we
coming
have
down.
some gifts that we just want to give to y'all. We have some T-shirts for you guys.
Yes, you can give them right here. Well, we got Commissioner Johnson is already down there, and he will give them to our Deputy Clerk, Miss Michelle Nations. Thank you all so much.
Ma'am, can I ask another question real quick?
Sure.
Very brief. Jacoby or Victor, anybody? And this just hit me as I was looking at your pamphlet. A lot of people think homelessness is the guy that we see right here.
Correct.
But we know that that may be the picture and the image we see, but the technical definition, how do you, because a lot of people out there may think if I don't fit the description of this guy on this picture, then I may not be. Is that the case?
Well, as you know, Shreveport is a very close-knit community. A lot of times we see people have support systems, such as their families. And what we see, a lot of the members of our organization are educators. A lot of times what they see is multiple family dwellings. So that is also one of the definitions of homelessness as well. Like we also stated, sheltered homelessness is those individuals that have shelter, but it may not be conducive living standards, such as electricity or water being disconnected, or different things that of that nature. So one of those things.
Sir?
Domestic violence.
Domestic
civil
violence
offense.
as well. Like we said, we hope to partner with organizations that will be on the grounds to try to shepherd people into the direction of those resources. A lot of people may not know that the resource exists here in the area, so we want to make sure that they have awareness.
Okay, all right. I see we got these shirts. I just want to be, we didn't ask for these shirts in exchange for let the record reflect.
We just hope that you wear them as you go about your daily habits, and hopefully someone will ask you about the pop-up shelter.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Okay, next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to reports, administrative report.
Yes. President Gage Watts, Commissioners, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Wilson.
We have a facility use opportunity presentation. So Ms. Scarlett Edwards would like to come and talk to us about Fort Wade facility.
Okay.
A brief pitch on that facility.
Welcome, Ms. Charlotte.
Hi. I'm not very good at rules of order and protocol. That part of my life is over, so I don't keep up with that. After you've worked in 2 houses of government, you just kind of get out.
Well, just relax, be you.
But thank you guys for allowing me to President and Vice President and to Commission. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak with you for a few minutes about Fort Wade. I currently, I am a public health scientist and a licensed addictions counselor. And I currently provide psychosexual assessment services for Caddo Juvenile Court and limited counseling and education services. There are 2 options right now for young people or adolescents that are adjudicated for any behavior. And that is to be remanded to state custody and secure custody, or to be placed on probation and released back into the community with counseling for the work that I do. I want to look at expanding the services that I currently provide to add a residential, like 12-week option for that. It would be an entire year program, but about 12 weeks of residential services for those adolescents. And you have a facility that I can do that in. And I haven't toured the facility, but I know it's been like 3 or 4 years since I talked to you about it before. So I wanted to be able to talk to you guys about it in detail and make a formal offer, and be able to do a tour of the facility. I really believe it's something that can work, because these young people, even though I provide counseling and education, if I see them for even 6 hours a week, I have no idea if they're looking at porn when they go home. So to be very honest, even with adults, when we do treatment, they're in a 45-day treatment facility and it's residential. So that environment is secure enough for us to know what behaviors are happening. And if it can happen with adults, then surely it can happen with adolescents, and just being able to provide that service, not just to meet the need of our community, but to bridge the gap in services with the children. Our treatment team would be able to, or within my licensure, I am able to provide chemical and process addictions, chemical being alcohol and other drugs, process being food, sex, and gambling. I'm also credentialed and licensed as an HIV counselor with experience with crisis and risk reduction services, domestic violence certified. So we've got an opportunity to provide a whole cadre of services and a continuum of care to these young people, and I would like to perhaps lease the facility to do that. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Ms. Edwards, I know that you mentioned 3 areas: chemical, process addiction, HIV, and domestic violence.
Right, and since 2011, I think it's been, I initially went over to Johnny Gray Jones to work with young ladies that were habitual runaways. We know that they run away from home and they get caught up in prostitution, but the proper word for that now is trafficking. And since 2004, I provided a John School, even in Las Vegas. The first one in Las Vegas, introduced it first here in Shreveport. So having the experience working in compulsive sexual behavior since 2010, trained and certified for 18 months, training and certified and all of that stuff, you get to see what's happening with these young ladies. And although I'm not intricately involved with helping these young ladies now, I do know that being able to get them into a stable environment and also get them the proper counseling, trauma-informed services, the risk reduction counseling, even nutrition and health, getting them those services is what they need to be able to be stable, mind, body, and spirit, and to progress and move forward with their lives.
Wow. I know that those are areas that basically plague most communities. So thank you for the services that you're providing. We look forward to talking more about it. I mean, you're also dealing with pornography and human trafficking as well. Thank you for coming down today. Vice President Chavez is on the board.
Thank you, President. I'd love to see you come and speak with a long-range planning meeting and accompany Clay from our juvenile justice, and of course Dr. Wilson, if the chairman would be willing to call that. I agree with you 100%. The children, sometimes getting them out of their element and putting them in a situation where you can give them all the tools to succeed when they get back to where their environment resides for success.
Right.
Personally, I graduated from the Youth Challenge program back when I was a teenager, so I know exactly where you're coming from and how important it is to house the children. Of course, obviously we'd have to talk about meetings and cost and look at that facility. But I would love to be at that long-range planning meeting and hear what you have to say in more depth. So thank you for coming down to the commission.
And if you graduated from the one in Carville, there's a chance that I taught you there. I taught you there because I did Lincoln Public Health to Corrections for them.
I'm even older. I was at the first one in Pineville.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Carville was second.
But thank you for everything that you're doing for the children of our community.
Thank you.
Thank you, President.
Thank you. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
I'll wait. I'll get with you when they set the committee.
Okay.
Okay, I see no other commissioners. Thank you.
Okay,
Ms.
thank
Edwards.
you.
Dr. Wilson, were you?
Yes, ma'am. We will arrange a tour of the facility for Ms. Edwards. I've already asked Mr. Perry to do that. So, Ms. Edwards, on your way out, we'll just stop by and see Mr. Perry Johnson. We will arrange a tour for you for the facility again, so you can see what's going on out there.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ms. Edwards. Dr. Wilson.
That's all we have, Madam President.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Right. Next item, Mr. Clerk. I'm sorry.
Do we
Commissioner
have Ms. Edwards' number so that when the long-range committee meets, that she could be called to come?
Ms. Charlotte.
We're getting it now.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Karen's taking care of that.
All right, she got it. All right, thank you. Right. Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to commission remarks.
Okay.
For agenda item. For agenda item.
Yes. Communications, reports, and other items related to the agenda.
Okay. See none?
Next, we move to president's report.
All right, I'll be brief. I'll reserve the remainder until Wednesday. In the beginning of the prayer, good afternoon again, everyone. I mentioned about the family of the 2-year-old baby that was killed over the weekend. And again, I just want to extend my sincerest condolences to those individuals who are being affected by that at this time, as well as continued prayers for the family of the postal worker who was laid to rest over the weekend, who was murdered while delivering mail. The murder-suicide yesterday in a very least expected area, as well as all of those families who are dealing with senseless gun violence. On Thursday evening, I attended the Pastors on Patrol prayer vigil addressing gun violence, and I thank those who are putting their lives on the line and continuing to carry out their duties for our community. I believe that we have to do more to address this issue that is plaguing our world tearing families apart and leaving a void across hearts nationwide. There's a message that none of us are exempt, from a baby stroller to a federal worker, and even someone who should have been sitting in the comfort of their own home. We have to do more to address gun violence. We have to do more than marches, more than t-shirts, more than visuals. We have to get those guns out of those wrong hands. And we know that that is a great start. I do not have all of the answers, but I'll continue to work towards the goals of restoring our communities where kids can play outside, go to school or a movie without the parents in agony of fear about their lives. The seniors are afraid to sit on their porches or go to the grocery store because no one understands conflicts with a resolution of gun violence, without a resolution of gun violence. Let's continue the conversations about how we can continue to help on a local level and make necessary steps together with an aggressive plan. There will be a prayer vigil on tonight in honor of Benjamin Finney, as the SOS Drop the Guns organization will be holding it at Winfield Funeral Home at 7 p.m. The public is invited and all elected officials are asked to attend. Switching gears, two quick things. I just want to say kudos to the ICE Biz Camp. They had another amazing event. The children there were learning things and applying their entrepreneurial skills as well as making plans for the future. Seemed like my last week was all with children, as you saw the kids who came down from Northwest Louisiana CDC Technology Camp. And those girls, I forgot to mention, were the very first girls, I call those historians, to coding and flying drones in that program. And that 6-year-old who provided the sketching that she was doing is not even a fluent reader yet. However, they've used her gift of knowing colors to help her exercise that gift. And that 12-year-old who spoke about fashion designing, she's awesome. I'm looking to seeing her work being displayed on New York one day. Lastly, I want to publicly thank the Girl Scouts from Pines to the Gulf for recognizing me as a woman of distinction that they chose to recognize for advocacy for girls and women everywhere. I wore my beautiful pin today in case any of them are watching or here, and this green blouse in honor of the girls that rock. So thank you very much for that honor. And I just want to remind everyone to be safe. The 4th of July with the fireworks, as well as all of the wet conditions that are out there, and just hoping that everyone has a safe and enjoyable week ahead. And that'll conclude my president's report.
We have no old business. We move to new business. Authorized introduction of ordinance number 5890-2019 to close and abandon a portion of dedicated for First Street located in Prosper Estate subdivision.
Motion to move to Wednesday, please.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Lewis Johnson and second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. See no discussion, please vote.
Mr. Lynn, Mr. Dominic,
Okay, and that passes 11-0.
next we'll authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5891 of 2019, authorizing an amendment to ordinance
Second.
5841.
That was moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson and second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Please vote.
Madam President,
I'm sorry, Commissioner Atkins, I didn't see you on the
is
board.
this resolution 55? Is that what we're on?
Ordinance.
Ordinance.
Ordinance
5891.
5891.
number 11.
I'm sorry,
Roman
got
numeral
ahead of
2.
myself, sorry.
Okay,
I'm good, thank you.
okay. Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Hey, LB, is this just changing some wording that should have said CCAA? Is that what it is?
Basically, the assessment is gonna be provided by CCAA instead of
Red Cross? That was just the only one change?
That's the only change.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I see no other discussion. Please vote.
Definitely want to vote for that.
Mr. Chavez,
Okay, and that passes 12-0.
Authorize resolution number 55, 2019. Resolution authorizing Caddo Parish Administrator to approve assignment, bill, sale, and conveyance of state agency leases 20120, 20126, and 20381.
Move to advance.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, and that was second by Parliamentarian Gerald Bowman. Commissioner Johnson, would you like to speak?
No.
Okay. Commissioner John Atkins?
Thank you, Madam President. As a limited partner in Insight 4 Energy Partners, I'll be abstaining from this item throughout the agenda.
Okay. Thank you for stating your reason for abstention. Commissioner Stephen Jackson?
Yes, is this any shell activity, or do we know if this is like shell activity
I would
or?
assume it is.
Mr. Glass?
Yeah, I was asking if this is any shell activity or?
Yes, these are all existing wells. They're
Well.
assigning the well board to these
Okay.
limited partners.
Okay, I know I talked to Dr. Wilson about a month ago. It seems like we've got an uptick in activity out there, and
There's a lot of, what they call infield drilling, where they're drilling the subsequent wells, alternate wells in the same sections that are already held.
I'm seeing 2 or 3 Halliburton trucks a day now. I'm seeing 2 or 3 Halliburton trucks a day, even on the weekend. So I guess that's a good thing
It
for
is.
the activity. Okay, that's what I.
Did you say Haynesville Shell area?
Mr. Glass, stay up here.
Yes.
You say it again. I'm sorry. That was it.
I couldn't hear what he was saying, I'm sorry. Did you say it was the Haynesville Shell?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're existing Chesapeake wells.
Southern part of the parish, I guess?
The parish does own some interest in some, that's the 3 state leases. That's
Okay.
why we're
Where are they?
assigning.
The southern part of the parish, or?
Yes, they're
Okay.
all in the southern part of the parish. I think they're in, I looked it up.
District, Jim Smith's area?
Yeah. I think they're in Jim.
Out west.
I think they're in Jim
Southwest.
District. Yes.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's
All
it.
right. Commissioner Matthew Lynn?
Mr. Glass, we had some prior leases that were slow paying on our royalties, and y'all were addressing those. I was thinking, is that true, and have they been addressed?
Yes, we're in the process of addressing that.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. That's all, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Dominic, you back on the board?
No, ma'am, I got
Okay,
mine taken care of. Thank you.
all right.
Good
I see no
news.
further discussion. Please vote.
Gas prices are still, that's on 263.
Mr. Bowman?
Bo?
Okay, that passes 11 with 1 abstain.
Next, we move to discuss process of selecting registrar voters.
I don't know if this is there's a motion that's needed. But I just wanted to kind of just open up a discussion, at least for now. I don't know if we want to run through the rest of the agenda and come back. I don't know. Come back to it at the end. I thought this would have come up toward the end.
Well,
Second, that's a motion.
I tell you what, I'll get on board
Yeah,
and do that. I'll get on board
that's
and do
fine.
that.
That's fine.
Commissioner Matthew Lynn?
Oh, I was ready to discuss it, but if we're putting it off, that's fine too.
Yeah, we just run through the agenda first.
Okay. Commissioner Doug Dominic?
Yeah, I make a motion to go ahead and approve the authorization of Miss Megan Cruz, special resolution concerning Colonel Steve DePilas, if I'm not saying it right.
The Pizer.
Authorize Dr. Andre Larson and, which one did I skip?
Skip that one. The motion.
Okay, and Commissioner, I didn't. Now, I don't want to forget the appointment of Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson to the Sports Commission.
Second.
Definitely.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Doug Dominic to englobe all the items you have heard, and that was seconded by the chair. I see no further discussion. Please vote. Yeah, for 5. I'm voting again. Okay, and that passes 12-0.
Okay, that brings us back to discuss the process of selecting registrar voters.
Okay.
Kind of slow to come up.
Commissioner Matthew Lynn. Commissioner Dominic, are you on the board?
Oh, I was getting on the, are we talking about the registered voters now?
Yes.
I
Who's
think
Go
it's
ahead.
slow.
Matthew up or?
I was, I thought it was.
Yeah, I
Can you
think
go before
something's
me?
going on with the system. Hold on, because there's nothing in the queue, but I have a countdown going. Okay, so I'm gonna try Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Yeah, Donna, I know you sent us a memo. I just think we better start with you. Can you give us an update? And what I know is, you know, Channel 3 was even here, and I talked to him earlier, was that, if y'all remember Ernie Roberson, and I did thank him. I think that's an important thing that we be sure to thank him for all of his years of services. But he has not officially resigned yet. We just got a letter stating that his, I guess I would say his intent to resign, but he hasn't given us a date yet, so a vacancy has not been declared. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Donna. I guess we expect that at some point in the future, he will send a letter of resignation, giving us a date, and then what will we need to do at that point?
At the point.
Am I correct?
That is correct. You do not have a vacancy yet. At the point where he does send a formal letter retiring or announcing his retirement, you will start the process from that date. It's a process that has to be open to everyone. There are some advertising specifications that are listed within your memo. You're probably going to need to advertise at least a minimum of 2 weeks in order to meet those specifications, because as far as the official journal is concerned, that's a weekly paper. And so you've got to get 2 advertisements out. So you're going to need to advertise a minimum of 2 weeks. There are several qualifications that are listed in the statute. I believe there's a bachelor's degree and 2 years of professional experience, an associate's degree and 5 years of experience, or 5 years experience working in a registrar's office that the person will have to meet. And you all will be required by law to interview anyone that meets those qualifications. Also, your interviews cannot be done in an executive session.
They cannot be?
Cannot. You can convene into an executive session to discuss someone's qualification, but the actual interviews have to be in an open public meeting.
And I guess the next question would be, you know, it's obviously been, again, 30 years, I believe, since Mr. Roberson took office, so it's something that we have not done or experienced. Does anybody have any knowledge how we did this in the past? And I guess Commissioner Jackson brings up a pretty good point. You know, I'm assuming we're going to probably get 20-something resumes. How do we narrow that down to make a qualified selection and determination?
I believe the closest process that you're going to probably have is to when you all selected a clerk. That was the last time I believe that you all have done the open interview process. And so I would suggest something along those lines.
Can you refresh my memory and refresh how we did all that, if you know?
For example, the process with the clerk, you advertised, I believe, in the paper. You had a deadline for submission of resumes, and you selected, I think, people to interview there. That's going to be a little bit different, because here you're going to have to interview anybody who meets the qualifications.
We're going to have to interview what, everybody?
Anyone who meets the qualifications.
The statute requires us to interview anyone who meets the qualifications?
Correct.
And who would determine if they meet the qualifications or not? Would there
That
be
is,
some-
it's outlined in the statute. The definition of professional experience is going to, is also outlined. However.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, someone's got to look at that to determine, so I didn't know if it would be.
It would probably be
Legal?
maybe someone who's, I can do it, we can do it, someone you select, Todd, if you all select a subcommittee to do it. We would advise in any case, and of course our advice is going to be to err on the side of caution, because what you don't want to do is have to start the process over.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's all I have. I know Commissioner Jackson's probably going to have some questions too, so I'll turn it over to him. If the next person.
You done speaking?
I'm done at this point.
Okay. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, a lot of questions were answered by Commissioner Dominic. The letter that we got, Attorney Frazier says that he notified the Secretary of State of his intent to retire in July 2019. My question is, can we get a copy of the letter that was sent to the Secretary of State? I would assume that would be a public document if it was transmitted to that agency.
It should be. We can ask for that.
Because right now, we're at July 1, and the way this year is flying by, July 31st will be here at any time. And so my question, I guess, is, one, if we could get the letter, but two, if July 31st gets here and we don't have a date, could we just assume July 31st is the date?
I'll do some more research on that. My gut feeling is probably not. You can't assume that he's going to retire until he retires. You have to have the retirement in order to make the vacancy, which starts the process. You can't start the process before there's a vacancy.
Okay, so my third question is, will you or Todd reach out to Mr. Roberson and ask him, does he have a date that he intends to retire at this point? Because we can't start the process. We can't start any process. I'm getting phone calls, and I see some people looking puzzled. I'm getting phone calls, folks thinking that we have a vacancy. And so if we don't know what the date is, or we don't know if he plans, we don't need to go and get ready for a process until we know we have a date. And I think we owe it to the public. Like, 2 public documents have been transmitted. One document to the Secretary of State and one document to us informing us either he's gonna retire or he's not. And I think it should be a courtesy to say, this is my date, or I'm not ready to retire yet. But we should not be getting ready to start a process that seems like it's got to be pretty thorough and follow the letter of the law. And we don't know what the effective date is. We're kind of just in a holding pattern.
Well, we'll find out when we can. The issue is, even if he gave you a date that he intends to retire, there's no way to hold him to it. He can always change his mind.
Oh, I agree.
And so us having the only thing that's going to allow us to kick the process off is the actual retirement. Us having an intended date or an effective date, I don't know how much it helps you, but we'll find out what we can.
Right, but I mean, at least if we know that this is going to happen, we can prepare. If we have to put a subcommittee together, but folks are calling. I got 3 calls just this morning. I guess Keel, I'm assuming Keel talked about it this morning. But I got 3 calls this morning inquiring about how can they apply for the registrar's job. But after reading your email, we can't even really accept a resume until there's a vacancy. So there's a lot of public confusion, and I'm trying to keep down the public confusion. And I just think that as a courtesy, and I appreciate, right, I agree. I'm just trying to, as a courtesy, if we could just reach out and say, hey, Mr. Robeson, we thank you for your service, not to try to push him out of the way, but no, that's not what it is.
Okay.
If you're going to send, if I'm going to send somebody a letter saying I plan to retire July 2019, and here we are at July 1st, we should at least know at what point in July do you intend to. You may not. You may say, well, I want to wait 3 more months. That's fine. Forcing him to be retired would say, well, no, we need it in July. No, all I'm saying is, I think we should at least ask him, does he have a date in July? And I just think that that's a simple courtesy matter. I may be wrong.
We will find out what we can. Anyone who's inquiring about the position or application should be told that when there is a vacancy, the position will be advertised. It will be advertised on the parish website, in the official journal, as well as in the Times, because we do have a paper with the circulation, double that of the official journal. So, and it will not be in the classified section. It will be prominent, and they'll be able to see at that point when there is a vacancy.
Right. And if we miss that 90-day mark, and my other question is, they only have to meet one of those requirements, not
Correct.
all, just one. And if we miss that 90-day window, I believe it's up to the governor to choose who gets that appointment, or.
I believe that is correct.
Okay. If you could confirm that for
Yes.
us, but I thought I read where the governor makes the appointment. So that's why I'm saying the time frame, because I would think that citizens would want people close to home that they've elected to make that decision, as opposed to, again, public confusion and defaulting to Baton Rouge to make a appointment. So I appreciate you for abreasting us. I agree with Commissioner Dominique that this is a very important appointment and process, and I think we should do it thoroughly. I appreciate Mr. Roberson for everything that he has done, but I just want the public to know that there is no vacancy right now, so there is nothing to submit, and we will try to do our best due diligence in this process. And again, I appreciate all the guidance that we can on it. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Attorney Frazier, is there currently a deputy register of voters in place?
Not that I know of, Commissioner, but I would have to confirm that. We will need to reach out and to confirm that there is not one.
Is it true that if there is a deputy register of voters, that they are the interim register at the point that he would resign until we assign a new one?
That is correct. The person who would be the chief deputy would take over, and if there is no deputy, the commission would have to appoint one within 48 hours of the vacancy.
Okay. And so if there is not one, we would have to appoint someone to be the interim within 48 hours?
Correct.
And at the point that he does resign, from that date is the 90-day window as of House Bill 563?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner John Atkins?
Thank you, Madam President. Just to be clear, you said the full body would be required to conduct the interviews?
That is correct.
So a subcommittee can't conduct the interviews?
No.
So if we've got 200 applications, there'll be 200 interviews by the whole committee in open session?
However many of those applications are qualified.
So, and along those lines of qualifications, the professional work experience, can you define that for me? I've seen your.
That is what you saw in the memo is taken straight
That's
out
all
of the
they
law.
say?
That is all they said.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam
Watching
President.
cars to qualify. I'm just asking.
Would you like to get back on? Professional work experience is defined as experience in an occupation which requires specialized and theoretical knowledge, usually acquired through college training or through work experience and other training which provides comparable knowledge.
And that was just.
Parliamentarian Bowman?
Thank you, Madam President. Two things. It was done in 1990. He used to be my 8th grade earth science teacher before he took over as took over as registrar of voters. Mr. Todd Hopkins has all the information as well that documents that and the process and everything that's inserted with the charter. But since this is something that should be thoroughly discussed, I would like to make a motion, if that's fine, to refer this to Long Range Committee. Bam. Let me put it again. All right. I'm back up there.
Okay. You want to come back on that for these other things? Okay.
Yeah. Do it
Okay.
like that. We can do it like that.
Thank you. You're done? Is that it? Okay, thank you, Parliamentarian Bowman. Commissioner Lynn Carthorne?
Most of my questions have been answered, so I'm good. Thank you, Madam President.
That's it?
Yeah.
Commissioner Lewis Johnson?
Thank you, Madam President. I think that mine has as well. I had a concern initially with Commissioner Jackson's inquiry, which I can appreciate because I too have had some calls in that respect. but I think it would be inappropriate to do anything other than to wait for Mr. Robertson to provide whatever information, because retirement is a personal decision that really is made without any outside considerations or whatever. So I think that would be proper for us to just wait, and until that time, it's not open. But I think we've come to that conclusion. But that's what I would have said earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Yeah, hey Donna, can you do one favor? Can you just look at maybe some attorney general's opinion, or maybe in some cases, to see if there's a little bit more interpretation or anything on the professional work experience?
Sure.
And I don't think we need to send this to a committee. I think we need to continue like we're doing, and of course, just what you said. It's not time. It's not the time to do anything other than we've discussed it. So
Wait till last minute.
thank you.
Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. Attorney Frazier, you had mentioned if there was not an interim or a deputy director, is there presently one now?
That's what he asked, and I don't know. We have to find that out.
Heard there was.
I don't know if there will be one prior to the resignation. I don't know. It's what happens at the time of the resignation or retirement that is going to do all that trigger.
Can you email just the office and just make that inquiry? Is there one presently? I'd like to know that. And then the second part of my question is, if there is not one and he resigns, what would happen to our election that's going to come up this fall if there was not?
You would have, if there is not one, you would have 48 hours to appoint one. If one is not appointed within the 48 hours, the election board of supervisors would appoint one. So say, for instance, if you all could not meet or something of that nature, they would appoint the registrar or the acting to get through the election, any elections before someone is selected. But just depending on if there's a vacancy, when that vacancy occurs, your appointment should hopefully be complete by the time the actual election occurs.
Okay. Obviously, this whole decision-making process will be predicated on when he retires. And great point, Commissioner Johnson. That's a personal decision. So the registrar will make that decision when he gets there. But I also agree with Commissioner Jackson. I'd rather us get ahead of the game and know a little bit of information on who are some good candidates out there. Because if we did get the scenario where you don't get the information back that there is not a deputy involved, and we're stuck with 48 hours to make that decision, that's a huge decision to make. So I'd rather have some resumes on board in my email that I can go look back at. So I think getting that information first off to tell the board, hey, there is a deputy, he is on board, this is who he or she is, that'll be instrumental. Thank you, Chair, that's all.
Parliamentarian Bowman. Okay. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I guess one thing I'm gonna say is life is not guaranteed. So if life is not guaranteed, we just need to be prepared when the time comes. If there's a deputy, then that's fine. If there's not a deputy, we just have to have a special meeting to appoint an interim deputy. As far as the registrar's position, we have 90 days. So in 90 days, if we can't make a decision based upon how many resumes we get, then that's bad on us. So, and I can understand if we get to a point where there's a deadlock, then that's one thing. But to be able to go through the process, which the process has already been laid out to us from Attorney Frazier, and I would ask that letter become public record and be part of the minutes. So, because y'all basically done dissected it and through all the questions that you asked her, so you might as well go ahead and put that in as the minutes, so everybody will know that is the process. To me, the process is laid out, and whenever the retirement is, we got 90 days from that point. Thank you.
I just have this one thing to say. There was a letter in my mailbox from the Secretary of State, and I do believe that someone may have thought that's what it was. It was opened already. So, Mr. Todd.
That's just me. I open all the mail that's the president's to make sure it's not time sensitive.
Oh, since when?
Since I always have done that.
Okay.
For every president.
I had never gotten any open before. Maybe I got it before you. Okay. So from now on, just keep all of my mail with you, and I'll pick it up from you. Thank you. Okay. I see no other discussion. Next item.
Next, we move to communiques and committee reports.
Okay. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
I got a question for Attorney Frazier. Is straight wind lines a part of FEMA's declaration of emergency for its natural disasters?
I do know that FEMA sometimes, depending, I guess, on the nature of the disaster, does help out with persons who are victims of those, but that's about all I know.
Okay. And the kind of, I told y'all earlier, dealing with a constituent that was having problems. But on June 26th, the MLK area and the Pines Road area was hit with straight line winds. And some trees ended up on some houses, on some vehicles. And so some people are slow on reporting some of the issues that they had. But might as well start listening, because it'll be some coming up pretty soon. I looked at the house that was impacted by the lady that I talked about earlier, and that house is totally destroyed. It was a big tree that fell on the house, and so there's pretty much nothing left, no roof or anything. It just smashed the house. And like I said, she did call 211, but she really hadn't got too much of assistance. She did get some vouchers from American Red Cross, but since the 26th to now, she has basically utilized those, and she just now needs some assistance from some type of organization. So hopefully with the pop-up shelter and trying to get some more on board between today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, we might be able to help her out. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, let me start by saying I made a joke that probably could be taken out of context. I know we have two car wash owners here, and that was just a joke. I could have named anything, but that was just a joke, and don't want it. It's an honorable profession, and we do business together, so I appreciate it, and I don't want that to be taken out of context. The other thing is, Attorney Frazier, if you could, I know that the Board of Regents sent over the cooperative endeavor. If you could maybe let us see a draft. Have we executed it, or are we still reviewing it? I know they sent it over last week, I believe.
They sent it over Thursday evening.
Okay.
I've not even had a chance
Okay.
to review it.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Once we go back and forth probably a few times and make some changes,
Right.
it's something that we recommend that you sign.
Okay.
Or recommend that Dr. Wilson signs. I can distribute that.
I understand that there may be another element that's trying to, so I don't know if you've caught that in there, but I just got wind that there may be another element or aspect of the law school that we all are aware of. I know we discussed it while we were down there, and so if we could just kind of keep it to what the commission approved, and so if you could in your review of it, if we can make sure if we just be extra vigilant of that aspect of it, because I've said it that our support was for ACR 24, not the other stuff that came down the pipe. So if you could, and I think we put that in the legislation, or we put that in the resolution as well as we amended that into the appropriation, or at least that was my motion. I thought that carried.
We'll get the exact language from Todd, and whatever
Okay.
is there, we'll make sure that the document is true to that.
Okay. I appreciate that. And I want to just thank Henri for his support for this weekend for the Roosevelt Collins Camp. I think the Booker T. Washington Alumni Association will do a presentation at some point for our support and thanks. Mr. Clark, if you could. Yes, I just had one quick question. I know this is over in Commissioner Cawthorn's area, but it's an element of what I've been talking about with banking development districts. Are you aware at this moment, do we have an application at 332 East 70th, or can you look to see if we have an application in?
This is the old Chase.
Correct.
And I'm not aware of an application, but I will verify it and get back with you.
Okay. Could you keep us on alert? I'm sorry.
There's a for sale sign in front of it.
Right. I know there's a pending sale. Yeah, it's been up there, but they don't take it down until the sale goes finalized. But I don't. Sometimes they try to get ahead of the sale and put their stuff in. So if you could keep us on alert for that.
We will stay on alert and make sure that nothing happens unless you know.
Okay, and I'm just trying to clear up property standards violations for commercial businesses. Is that a property standards, or is that MPC enforcement?
It depends on what violation you're talking, the nature of the violation.
Okay. I'll give you an example. There's an old Valero that shut down on North Market, and it's starting to, the grass is overgrown, the trash is out there, and I think even homeless people are starting to sleep overnight over there, and it's becoming a real eyesore there on North Market. And so I don't know if that would be y'all, or would that be code enforcement?
The grass and the care premise would be property standards.
Okay.
The other stuff would just be a matter of trespassing and vagrancy.
I got you. So that wouldn't be in y'all's wheelhouse?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, Doctor, we appreciate it. That's it for me.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. If we could get with the city's property standards, it's an old Valero that's recently shut down. It's right across from the Rite Aid, and it's starting to become an eyesore. That's a pretty heavily traveled corridor there, and the grass is growing high. Graffiti is starting to go up. Trash is piling up there. A couple of days I've seen a homeless resident sleeping out there. I have reached out to the street team with Hope Connections to try to see if they can address that person sleeping up there. But it's becoming a growing problem. So if we could reach out to them to ask them to address that. That concludes my request and comment. And wait a minute, didn't we have one other one, Attorney Frazier, that we were supposed to? Or are you going to do that on Wednesday?
I sent you an email.
On the consent?
Yeah.
No, I thought there was one that you had suggested to do for response. I guess we'll do that on Wednesday. We'll go back and discuss that. You suggested it would be an administration response. I can't even remember. I'll get it to you. Thank you. That's it for me. That's it for me.
Okay. Mr. Glass, there's an area on King Street, Day Street, right off of Pines Road. They call that the Risa area. There's a lot of overgrown grass in that area. It has not been cut in a very long time. Not sure it's privately owned, but I do know it's all parish property in that area. Would you have that checked for me, please? And you were not here when I asked about the grass being cut along I-20, I-220 area. Mr. Ken Ward was. Do you have any updates on that? The state has made plans to have it cut or not? He has requested. I'm going to request again that the parish cuts the area. Thank you. That'll be all from me, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, next we move to citizen comments, late arrivals. I have no cards.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
I did it, John. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Jackson, were you on the board? Okay. Mr.
Attorney Frazier, it's about the parish pay.
You're welcome.